calling mine ragdoll slingshots. Okay? So check this
Yeah.
out. Draw back, same way.
Whoa.
And
Dude.
there you go. And it doesn't look like much yet. The visuals are really simple, but the feel is so fun. Even this dumb demo that I made, I kind of get into playing it kind of in the same way that I play Ragdoll Archers. And it's also got the headshot, so if I shoot this guy in the leg, I can knock him off, but I didn't kill him. Whereas if I shoot him in the head, he'll just be like, oops, never mind. My aim is not great.
How do you get the enemies to fire back at you?
Well, so we can just cruise through the wishes. I'm happy to share the process, but here's how we do it.
That was
right?
going to be the hardest part. Would be that part of it.
Well, so it depends on how you think about it. So there's really two aspects to an enemy firing. One is the actual like drawback and all that. The other one is just the logic of like every enemy has its own. Oh, by the way, check this out. Sorry, I'm interrupting myself, but check this out. This is edit mode. So in edit mode, I can basically let me make a new level. So I'll make this an active level. I hit the plus button and it creates a bad guy. And then if I move to this tool, I can select him and I can move him around. There's different enemy types. This is like the bad guy. Final boss is like the ultimate bad guy. So then I can move the camera, because what I wanted to add to this was because Astrocade is always portrait mode, right? What I love about Ragdoll Archers is you've got this wide field of view. And it was also one of the things I noticed about Stickman Archer. And again, this game is great. I'm not criticizing it, but it's all in this kind of confined space. So I added this idea of what I call camera stops. So check this out. Oops. Oh, never mind. Forget that. I'm going to add, I may have a bug. I have a bug in my code, guys. Okay. So I added, oh wait, did I crash my game? No, I didn't. Okay, so I can zoom and I can pan the camera around, right? And what that means is that I can basically set up camera movements where the camera is in one place when one enemy is attacking, and then it zooms out when another enemy is attacking. So let me show you an example of what this is like in the actual game. So here's level 1. This doesn't have any of those camera movements. I think level 2 does. So I killed this guy, watch what happens. See, the camera pulls back to reveal the next enemy. But this is still the same level. So there's a couple innovations. It's like I've got the physics of Ragdoll Archers, but I've kind of got this cool camera movement. And then everything else is just easy stuff. It's just add power-ups. There's going to be an upgrade shop. I think it actually already exists. Yeah, so you can buy, I can buy my own helmet. I can't afford it yet, but like I could put a helmet on my head that protects me and gives me more HP. So the stuff I'm talking, yeah, I can add more blood. This is the easy part, and this is really the whole point of Astro Academy. So I think you guys know me well enough at this point to know that normally I would put a ton of like juice and polish. I would give these guys like textures and stuff. I haven't done any of that because what I really want to do is I want to see how this plays first. I want to see if people like this. And if they do, then I will go back and I will add all sorts of great stuff. I'll make it look better. I'll add more special effects. But none of that stuff should happen until I have proven that people enjoy this basic game mechanic. And so, for instance, none of this is balanced yet. Like right now, it's basically impossible to lose. You have to just sit here for like 5 minutes to actually die. But to answer your question, high quality, I will fall off the platform if I get shot enough. Yeah, his aim is not great. He hasn't earned that helmet. You know what's funny is I wonder if the moving platform is screwing him up. Check this out. If I restart it, this guy will do a better job because he's not on the moving platform. But you can see the balance is way off. Like, look how much HP I still have. I'm like basically impossible. Anyway, so the reason I show you guys this is it's an example of two things. A, physics makes everything better. And I'll show you guys how I wish for this, because it's actually not as hard as you think. And second, not only is physics making everything better, but this is a great example of getting a game mechanic tuned and in a playable state before I bother adding special effects and adding polish. The only reason I added that upgrade shop is because we have a similar game on the platform that already has those features, and I want to make sure that people are not missing something obvious. But as far as adding special effects and making it more cinematic, blah blah blah, yeah, it is true. My feet are kind of glued to the ground. That is true. But before I do any of that stuff, I really just want to make sure that people are playing this, right? So that's kind of the mentality I'm trying to adopt from now on, which is save all the fun stuff, adding the special features, adding the polish, adding the effects for after you know for a fact that people are responding to the game mechanic. You can see that in your median playtime. If you get at least 60 seconds, and maybe between 60 and 80, you've got something really great on your hands, and then you should just go crazy with it. Add new stuff, all that kind of thing. But if it's hanging around at 15 or 20 seconds, it either means that the game mechanic is not good, or it means that you've kind of executed it in a way that people don't like, right? And this is also why it's really good to do playtesting on our Discord. Oh, there we go. Fell off the thing. Because if you can test it with people face to face, it's way faster than publishing a game, waiting a couple days, and then waiting for the play count to the median play count to reach its stable point, right? All right, so how about this? This may be kind of fun. So why don't I make a game in the background? Maybe we can talk about some other people's games because it'll take 10 minutes to wait. But why don't we brainstorm now? Let's make something together with physics, and I'll give you guys an idea of how you can wish for this kind of stuff. Because like I said, it's easier than you might think. So let's throw some ideas out there. Pika, you were saying something about ropes or something. And by the way, I can just go back and I'll show you some of the. In the meantime, I'll show you some of these wishes.
That's what I was really curious about was like, I mean, I can get an enemy to fire at me, but you have a real nice, smooth, like literally like a physics animation where they're stretching it back. And I'm just curious, like, how did you prompt the AI to do that, or did it do it automatically because that's how you fire?
So it's always a little bit of both, right? And the beauty of Astrocade is you really need to focus on the details of the idea that are unclear and that are maybe you need to focus on the details in your wish that are not obvious, because the stuff that is obvious is the stuff that Astrocade can usually do without being told. And then really the trick is just learning over time what's obvious and what's not. So maybe we can pick up on a little bit of that pattern here. So this is my creation wish, right? I said ragdoll slingshots. I gave it a title. You don't have to do that. I like doing that. Similar to Ragdoll Archer. So by the way, notice, I don't know if Astro necessarily knows this game, but I'm guessing there's a chance that it's been around for years, right? So similar to Ragdoll Archers, except the characters draw back slingshots. Let's start. Oh, so here's one more thing. Notice that the way I write creation wishes, and I think you saw this in the Astro Academy course as well, is I'm not describing a game yet. I'm just describing a core mechanic, right? So I say, let's start by simply creating the Ragdoll characters themselves. They're composed of simple geometric primitives, no textures, a circle for the head, a rounded rectangle for the torso, long, thin rounded rectangles, pill-shaped, for the upper, lower arms and legs. Build a simple, physically simulated body. This alone will get you a lot of the way there, right? Based on these shapes, standing on a solid platform, a 3x1 rectangle, collisions should exist between all solid objects, bodies versus platforms and rocks. Let's not worry about the slingshots yet. So I mentioned the rocks, but I actually don't even want to. My first wish was just getting characters to stand on platforms, right? So this is nerdy, but bear with me on this. I always add something I call config.debug on. You can wish for this in any number of ways. I do it in kind of a techie coder kind of talk, but you can wish for this in many ways. I wish for what I call a debug mode or a developer mode, which will show me some extra information that I don't want the player to see, but that I find useful, right? When enabled, display a button on the screen that will fire a rock at the player. So here's what I was doing. Before I actually wanted to, yes, this is my prompt. Before I actually wanted to make slingshots, I just wanted to get the character physics working. And so I didn't want to waste time or confuse Astra by having it make a platform, like a system of platforms and multiple characters and slingshots. That's too much for one wish. So instead I said, just give me the character and then give me a debug developer mode button that just shoots rocks. So I can just play with the physics of the rocks and then I can turn those into slingshots later, right? For now, do not add any UI other than the button or edit mode. Do not add a title screen, because I'm basically just saying don't add all the stuff that Astra wants to add by default to make my job easier, because in this case, it makes my job harder. You will notice that Astra will never totally listen to you. It will still add something. Oh my God. You think I use caps for emphasis now. Trust me, when things aren't working, I am just an all caps lunatic screaming at the AI. I don't know if I've politely scrubbed anything yet, but let me see if I can find an example of me just losing my cool. Maybe I don't have as many. I've been getting more polite with Astro lately, but I have a lot of other games where I'm just like, what is wrong with you? So, yes. Well, okay. I'm not getting angry yet, but you can. There's a little bit of tension here. Anyway, okay. So let me just do a search for the word physics, because anytime the word physics comes up, you've basically got a lot of patterns to draw from. Okay, HP. So whenever a character is struck by a stone, emit dark red particles in the reverse direction of the stone. They should fall within simulated gravity and disappear. Okay, so here's what I was doing here. This was wherever a character takes a shot, you'll see there's this little kind of blood splatter, right? So this is an important thing. When you're doing physically simulated stuff, just be aware that it is computationally expensive. And if you're running on a low-end phone, you don't want to have too many things going through the physics simulation, because it's just a lot of detail for the CPU to crunch. So, for instance, when I spawn all these red particles for the blood, those don't actually need real physics simulation. All that applies to is the character, the platforms, because they stand on the platforms, and the rocks. Everything else is just basic, simple stuff. So when I shoot at this guy and the blood comes out, those are just normal particles that just fall with fake gravity, and they don't bounce, they don't collide, and that saves the CPU a lot of time, right? Frustration is a great name for a game, because honestly, it's what the experience is like for the creator. So look at me being such a jerk. Impact particles now spray. Totally wrong. You're spraying particles at high speed straight down. This I can't show it to you because it's old, but this really looked terrible. I just want you to spawn moderate particles in the reverse direction of the hit, not straight down. So, oh, and I like lecture Astra, like it's like a misbehaving teenager. I told you the particles don't disappear until they're entirely off screen. Please just do what you've been asked to do. I do find that shaming Astra is somewhat useful. So I don't want to encourage anybody to go full psycho, but if you get kind of passive aggressive and you say, "Oh, I guess you don't want to help me," I guess, whatever. Like Astra gets very apologetic and it starts to kind of fix things. So that does work sometimes. But as you can see, if you just comb through this, it's like, okay, now generate a full metal face helmet viewed from the front, drawn in an anime style, which gave me this first one. This is how I got my first face helmet. And then it was just a matter of just saying, pin this to the enemy's head. In fact, it's actually too small. You can see the guy's head sticking out from behind the helmet. But other than that, like I needed the helmet because people expect helmets in these games, but I didn't put, like, there's no background animation. There's no, ambient stuff in the corners of the screen. It's basically just power-ups that fly up every now and then, helmets and blank characters. And then I just did one wish for a background, because you might as well throw in a background image that takes 2 seconds. And then everything else is just, like, I normally design the styling of the UI myself. This is just Astra did all this. I gave it no details on what this should look like. So this is all the default style. And it looks fine, but it's not the style I would have chosen. So you can get a lot of mileage out of just making things super simple. Oh, yes. So the blue tint, this is, not everyone's got it yet. We're rolling out a new UI refresh. And the creator side of the app is going to be blue, and the play side is the existing magenta color. So if that's confusing anybody, you'll all have this very soon. We're rolling it out.
It was actually a discussion about he or she, and since how it's blue now.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Oh, you guys want to hear something crazy? So we've been doing a lot of user testing. We have this platform that just connects us with random people that do focus group testing, and we're living in an age where gender stereotypes are completely falling apart. Generally speaking, men prefer the pink and magenta hues, and women prefer the blues. So that's the world we live in now.
I mean, that explains lots of stuff in the world, but yeah, we can move on.
Can't make assumptions.
Yeah. Yeah, moving on.
So yeah, right. No, there's no politics there. I just think it's interesting that you assume, oh, blue for girls, blue for boys. No, not anymore. Also, funny enough, when we create icons and assets with like cute little characters, and then we create a different icon set that's like space imagery, again, the women that we tested, people that register as female prefer space imagery, and people that register as male prefer cute little characters. It's just crazy how it's just not what you expect. I think pink's a great.
Does that have to do with demographic?
It's a good question. We have a lot of demographic details. I haven't combed through all of it. We have a UI designer that does that, but whatever it is, it's counterintuitive. So anyway, I'm gonna, when I just get Astro Academy kind of under control and get the other lessons out, I'm gonna wrap this up. And what might be kind of fun, although really, how about this? We can do this now. Why don't we do some live play testing? I've already kind of ruined it. I'm not testing correctly because I've already showed you guys the game and explained it. But just for fun, why don't we do some live? Who wants to volunteer to be a live play tester? Toxic, why don't you do it, because you're on voice.
Give me a link.
Okay. I now just forgive me for being precious about this. I'm going to DM it to you because I want a couple more days to not have random people playing it, but I will share it very soon, I promise.
I am happy to not be a rando.
Which is also funny because it's like the URL is right there on the screens. This is hardly like a big secret. You know, I'm gonna no, I need to grow up and stop being such a tortured artist. Here it is for everybody. But whoever plays it, please let's take turns and share your screen because I want to see people playing the game. By the way, guys, the other reason testing is so important is any aspect of this game could potentially look different on someone else's device, and you just don't know that until you've watched somebody else play it on their machine. So I highly recommend it for that reason.
So you have no sound in this game. You do that by default?
No, no, nothing yet. None. I'm being told some people can't screen share. Is that a tech issue on your end, or is it because the permissions don't allow everybody to screen share?
If you're not an ambassador, you can't screen share inside of the
Got it.
lounge.
Got it. Okay. So, by the way, guys, something we're working on is we're going to potentially add a new dedicated voice channel that is just for testing. And needless to say, we want that one to be open to everybody to screen share.
Oh,
Oh,
my
you
leg's
got
on
the
fire.
fire. You got the fire, but you just dropped it, so now it's just endlessly spewing fire. Maybe that's an edge case I should worry about. Yeah,
So
so this is actually a really good point. So
if they shoot you while you're aiming, does it stop you from aiming?
it does. So I added this. It's actually something I can disable. I can
Oh,
toggle it on or off
that's cool.
because it's a question of what's fun. I thought it'd be kind of fun if if you shoot someone who's pulling back, they lose the shot. It just seemed kind of realistic that way. But it could also be frustrating. So it's something I'm gonna toy with, and this is why also why feedback is good. What do you think about that?
I think it's fine. I don't think that they hit you often enough, and you can pull your slingshot back fast enough to get a shot off.
I am being reminded that I'm not allowed to talk while Toxic is playing, which is a very good point. You are correct. I am breaking the rules, guys. But like I said, I broke all the rules because normally I would go out of my way to completely hide this game until I was ready to have a playtest because uh you just don't want bias creeping in. Like this is already a waste. This is totally biased, but you'll still get something out of it. So this is more of an informal testing session. Although
I
Toxic,
love it
you're not
when the
doing
helmets fly off.
yeah, it's fun, right? Well, here's a question for you. What do you think about this? I was thinking that like the more badass helmets should have like it should take a certain number of hits before they
Sure.
go flying. Like in fact, that guy, the pink bar, those are I think the the pink bar is the helmet's HP, and so I think that one can take a few hits. Yeah, that one has got like 2 HP, so it takes 2 shots.
What determines whether or not they fall off the platform before they die?
Honestly, I think that is entirely up to the physics.
Gotcha.
So if you can kind of like sweep the leg Johnny, then they'll go down pretty quick. But it's inconsistent because you just shot him right in the leg. So I know it's based on the physics, but I don't know what causes it because the way the characters stay on the platform is they have a kind of the joints are kind of pinned to the platform. And then the idea is that when they get a certain number of HP loss, they fall off the platform, but it's not when they die. I think what happens is if there's enough velocity, it'll break the connection or something like that.
So I
So the
really like
platforms
it
are
when their helmets fall off. I wish
I just realized that's the sound when he shows up. He makes an entrance every time.
I was expecting a B-2
I was
bomber
not.
on the screen. Okay, so I love when the helmets fly off, but I don't particularly care too much for the feedback until they die when I hit them. It just kind of feels like it, kind of lobs off of them.
So wait, so say that again. What do you mean? Want to make sure I
The
understand.
reaction, like the reaction that I get when I shoot their helmet off, is like pleasing to me. It
Yep.
brings a smile to my face. But when I hit
Okay.
them with like that, it just seems really
Ah,
like meh.
anticlimactic. Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean. Now let me ask you this: what if that did more damage and it only took a couple hits to kill them that way. Would that make it better, or is it just the physical motion itself doesn't work?
I don't think it's the motion. I think it's the contact. Does that make sense? Like
What do you
right
mean by
there,
the?
I feel like I'm hitting them with balls of socks and not rocks.
Ah, got it. Okay. So it just doesn't feel like it's enough of an impact.
Yes.
Yeah, and so the reason you like the helmet is that feels like an appropriate reaction. Like it goes flying
Right.
because you shot a rock at it, and when you
Right.
shoot their body, and they just kind of get they. It's like they're
Like
taking a little punch.
I can hear the patink from the helmet, even
Exactly.
though I
Yes.
don't hear it because I see it.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah. No. The thing about being glued to the ground is that's great feedback. And what's funny is it's like a lot of the stuff that people tell you when you're testing is stuff that you kind of had an inkling about, like you were kind of leaning in that direction, but it takes someone else pointing it out to realize this is actually worth putting some effort into. Because it's too easy when it's your game and you're just playing it by yourself to kind of brush off the stuff that isn't quite right, because you're focusing on the stuff that you like, or you're focusing on where you think it's going to go, and you're like, it'll get there eventually. But when someone tests it, they don't care where it's going. They care how it is right now. And it's a great reminder to focus on the stuff that maybe doesn't seem quite tuned. So that's
I
a great.
have a really bad habit of noticing things that need to be changed, but putting them off, putting them off, and putting them off, and then
Exactly. I
asking
think
for
we all do it.
feedback, and then they give me the same feedback that I probably already knew I was going to get.
Exactly. We all do it. Um, all right. So how about this? While we're doing this, does first of all, if anyone else can screen share, I guess we got to work on the permissions. But if anyone else can do it, then anyone else is welcome to play test it. But we can also try doing a little bit of physics experimentation. We could do like a new game in the live during the session. So let's get back to brainstorming. What's a fun physics based game mechanic we can play with? And it should be simple because we only have 20 more minutes, so we can't do too much. But by the way, at level 5, it just loops, so it's just going to keep playing the same level.
Okay.
So I will say this: I would maybe recommend not doing something with what's it called? Human figures, because that could take a couple hours to get that right. Maybe I'd love to do a separate lesson on that. So if anyone's interested, just let me know and I'll add it to the list.
I was just
But
going to say what
sorry, say that again.
high quality suggested what I was going to suggest, falling down.
Falling down. What about an object falling though, or something like? And in fact,
Yeah,
Toxic,
yeah.
you've done this. You did your game Ragdoll. What was it called? Ragdoll. The
Ragdoll
football
dismount.
Ragdoll dismount. Yeah, exactly.
What
Well,
about
we
it?
already did. I feel like we already did gravity change mechanics.
We did. Yeah.
That was the game jam. Um, yeah, this is an idea. It should be anyone that's in Astro Academy should have screen sharing permissions. That I think for sure. Maybe a baseball game.
I was just
Um,
working on a baseball game, although I just deleted it. But it was there's a game back in the day called Baseball Boy. I'm not sure if anybody knows what that game is.
haven't heard of it.
Really, it's really really popular game. But
Base.
you're just it's like ragdoll dismount, except you're a baseball player and you swing the bat at the right time, hit a ball, and it travels like my dismount game would have.
Was this like a flash game back in the day or something?
Let me see if I pull it up real quick.
Baseball.
It's called honk ball in your country.
I was
Honk
joking.
ball.
I just
Right.
wanted to see how Toxic would react.
I just
If
I just wanted to say
just, wait,
honk ball.
actually, it's not really the national sport. I have a friend who plays it. He's way too good.
You know a honk baller?
Yeah.
And actually,
Let's-
so Toxic, you wouldn't mind sharing? Okay, yeah, let's do it again. I'll play it on mine. So this is perfect because this is exactly what we're trying to be doing more of, which is start with something that you know works, and then build from there.
Too, which is what I really want to do.
Okay, I don't care about this guy. Let me just see some gameplay. Oh, okay. Oh, this is awesome.
I wanted to do it in Minecraft graphics because it was already kind of blocky, and so I had an
Yeah.
idea of like Minecraft, like explosions, dynamite, and that kind of stuff in the game to blow up holes in the ground to create different paths or whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's
No,
just
this is awesome.
incremental. It's just get as far as you can, get some money, and upgrade your character. And that's pretty much the whole game. That's the mechanic.
Got it.
The main
Got it.
mechanic would be hitting the ball.
Yeah, and I love that it's got this really simple 3D art style because you honestly could get something along these lines in Astrocade. This is actually not unattainable. Um, and if anyone's seen the document that I shared a while ago, like months ago, about how to make 3D games, this is kind of the style that you kind of want to run with because Toxic. I mean, you've done the real thing of like importing real assets, but most of us aren't really going to go down that road. So if you just want to do it through wishing, this is wishable, basically. You know?
Yeah, the UI I feel is very, very simple, but works and can easily be done with just prompts. You don't even need to have any assets.
Right, right. All right. Well, how about this? Why don't we? Okay, let me wish for this. Place a baseball bat at the bottom of the screen that the player can swing using the left and right arrow keys or tapping, clicking, and dragging. Periodically drop a physically simulated, I want to be very clear about this, physically simulated ball from the top of the screen that the bat can strike. Then, so I'm going to start by just saying, let's just swing a bat and hit a ball, but I want to hit the ball at something. Like maybe there's like floating. Yeah, but I want it to kind of work in 2D. Like how about this? Maybe, I'm going to change this a little bit. Even though this isn't going to work very well with the portrait, I'm going to say place a baseball bat at the, let's say at the left side of the screen. Periodically throw a physically from the right side of the screen. Okay, so now we're going sideways, and then I'll say at the bottom of the screen, pile up a bunch of physically simulated. I'm thinking like glassware, like you're in a china shop and you just shoot the ball and you just make everything shatter. You know what I mean? Something like that. Fine china dining pieces like vases, glasses, plates, etc., all of which will shatter when struck hard enough by the ball. And I'll just be clear, physically simulate everything. Also, just so you guys know, if you really want to push it, the common JavaScript library for physical simulation is called matter.js. So I can even tell Astra to say using matter.js. So I have no idea what I'm going to get. This could be a total mess. But China Shop Slugger, it's actually a pretty good name. But we will we'll see what we get with this. Yeah, so we do have a social media guy. His name is Nicholas, but he is different from Axel. Nicholas and Axel are different people. And yes, Matter's not the only one. I think the other one's called Canon.js. And now that I realize I'm blanking on which is the one that is usually considered a little bit more casual game friendly. But I believe that my ragdoll game was done with Matter.js. So
Matter is, when you ask for physics, Matter is the default one it'll put in there. And it's generally going to be the best one.
And by the way,
Matter, Arcade, and Canon, there's your 3 different ones. Sorry.
Okay, cool. No, that's great. I appreciate the clarification. The reason I pointed out, and you don't have to do this, I mean, and we're always working on making Astra better and better, where you don't have to do any of these detail stuff. It'll figure everything out for you. But it is sometimes helpful to be able to make it very clear to Astra, like, I don't want you to just do like basic bouncing. I want like realistic physics simulation. And if you mention the library, like matter.js, then Astra knows for sure what you mean. So it can be helpful to be clear. Okay, so this is going to take 10 more minutes probably. So we can probably get back to, I guess, whatever else we're doing. Does anyone else have any games? Someone shared a game earlier, and I'm happy to look at it. But are there any? I guess we're not yet at the point where anyone's got any Astro Academy game demos yet. Is that right?
Not yet.
Okay.
I think we're all waiting for the next section.
Okay, no, that's fair. That's fair. Sorry, give me 1 second. I'm just dealing with an inter-office message.
Will be little. I'm going to take a guess and say this is Donkey Kong rail game with zombies and guns. Judging a book by its cover. I know B a little too well, I think now. Am I right?
In the meantime, I am playing. If you're still here, BW, I'm playing your game, Bounce Up. And I mean, the name Bounce Up already makes me think there's a possibility we got some physics to play with here. So let's find out. Oh, this is cool. So it's like an endless jumper, but the jumping is happening automatically. Okay, so my first reaction to this, and again, if you're not here, then maybe I'm just talking to nobody, but this is a really great core mechanic. The biggest issue is it's the speed could use some tuning. It's a little fidgety. It's very fast, and there's not a lot of forgiveness in getting the platform right. So I would personally slow it down, and I would make it actually bouncier, because the bouncing feels a little bit too tight. Like it just isn't. It's more, like I said, kind of fidgety bouncing, not fun, kind of fluid bouncing, and it's just so fast. I don't know if it's because it may run differently on your phone or your computer, but for me, it's just way too quick. But I love this simple art style. This is a really underrated look of just the thick outlines and the simple shading. I think that's great. I think if the bouncing were just refined a little, this could be really fun. And what's great about this fight, this is a great example of what we're talking about right now. This is a game where it lives and dies by the quality of that bouncing. So it makes your job very, very clear and very focused, which is just do everything you can to squeeze all the juice and all the satisfaction and refinement out of that bounce. And if you can get the bounce right, I think everything else will follow. It'll affect the gameplay, it'll affect the feedback and the sense of just player satisfaction. Everything will come from getting the bounce right. And then once you got that right, then you just add, polish. You can add some effects, you can add upgrades, you can add power-ups if you want. But really just your main goal is to get this bouncing a little bit more playable and make it feel better. So this is actually a great example of what we're thinking about here for Astro Academy. And yes, this is a great point from Pika. So that was my guess as well. This is something that maybe I will throw into, maybe I'll even throw it into this lesson, because I think a lot of you guys already know this, but not everyone does. There's this term delta time. It's come up in some of these office hours before. And if you tell Astra, you do all timing using delta time, even if you don't know what that means, it doesn't really matter. Astra will make sure that when you play the game on different machines, you'll basically get the same speed. So to be very, very clear, in case anyone's not clear on this, frame rate and speed are two totally different things. Frame rate is just how fast the game can update, whereas speed is how long things are supposed to actually physically take. So like in this case, this bouncing, and I don't know what the creator's vision was exactly, but for me, this feels too fast. It just feels too springy and bouncy. It doesn't have any lifelike kind of ease and speed up and slow down. It's just always going at top speed. And my guess is this is actually probably not what it looks like on the creator's phone. It probably plays better, but unfortunately, this is not their fault. Sometimes Astra just gets this wrong. You have to ask for it explicitly. Astra didn't use delta time. Astra is counting frames. So if the game runs at 20 frames per second on one machine and 40 frames per second on another machine, everything will literally be twice as fast, because you're just counting how many frames go by to determine how long something should take. So it's a very important lesson. And yes, that's exactly right. Think of delta time as the actual clock time. Correct. How are we doing on this? Ooh, look at this. What do we got? We've got we've got a ball that is impossible to hit because the bat can't reach it. Let's see. I wonder if there's an edit mode. Can I move the bat? Can I? No. Almost. Okay, I'm going to do a couple things. I'm going to say, make the bat 30% bigger, make the ball 30%. Actually, you know what? Make everything. Bat, I'm going to use an M dash because I am literally AI. Bat, ball, and China pieces, all 30%. I just want everything bigger. Then move the... how about this? What do you think? Should I move the bat, or should I make the bat movable? Like maybe I move the bat with the arrow keys and I can use something else to swing it or something like that. No, IQ asked a question of the bat should be at the bottom. I originally said that, but I wanted to have things that I could shoot the ball at that would not be, that wouldn't have to float. So I actually wanted the stuff that I'm shooting to be at the bottom. And then the idea would be that I just go like this. I go like, hi-ya, and I shoot the ball down. But you know what, now that I think about it, I think the ball should be shot up. Shoot the ball up from the lower right corner towards the bat. Okay, we'll see what that does, and then maybe some of you guys can maybe you guys can throw your own wishes at it. Plankton fun and high quality and belittle. What do you guys think? Do you guys want me to do a playtest for your games? Okay. While we're waiting, I'm going to jump in to Rail Riders, which Toxic, I think, has already completely perfectly guessed. Let's find out. Ooh.
Yes. Oh, close. Okay.
So let me ask you this something, Belittle. This is your Astro Academy game? Okay, so can you talk us through where the game mechanic came from? If was this inspired by a game or what? Yeah, aren't these the Plant versus Zombies? Zombies, don't they kind of have that look?
I think that Astro kind of by default makes you Plants versus Zombies if you ask for zombies.
Inspired by lots of shoot games. Okay, so the reason I ask is, first of all, this game looks really good. I actually almost worry if it looks a little too good, because the goal for now is to get the game mechanic in a state where I can play test it, which actually, now that I look at it, I think you have, because, like, for instance, these upgrades, were these upgrades you wished for, or did Astra kind of give you these upgrades automatically? Oh, and by the way, Pika, note, so I'm thinking about, I think it is good to have a copy. Okay, so sorry, I'm interrupting myself. Belittle, you're saying that Astra gave you the upgrades automatically. You didn't wish for them explicitly. The reason I'm asking is because things like upgrades, and I kind of broke the rule myself in my Ragdoll game, but things like upgrades are generally not needed to do a playtest for just the core game mechanic. The core game mechanic in this case is, and I'll restart to make it clear, the core game mechanic is I am moving backwards slowly on this kind of rail car thing. I've got zombies that are moving a little bit faster, and my job is to just survive by shooting these zombies. At least that's the impression I get, right? Now, I think that's plenty to test, right? And I think as C-Spark said, I agree. I feel like the shooting feels kind of slow. So my feedback is, I like the concept. I can see this being very fun, but I think I want the shooting to feel more responsive. What you don't need to worry about is, like, for instance, don't worry about like where the gun connects to the player. Don't worry about animating the zombies necessarily. And in fact, don't even worry about things like upgrades. Even the waves might not be that important. They might be. It's up to you to decide. The main thing, though, is do people want to shoot zombies while their train car is moving backwards, right? And by finding that out, you can determine whether or not it's worth adding all the extra stuff we're talking about, right? So that's my feedback. I think my main feedback is if you can speed up the shooting a little bit. And my other thing is I feel like I'm being interrupted too much. That's my take. This is where my opinion should be compared to other people's opinion. But I feel like I'm just kind of getting into the groove, and then the round ends and I get that pop-up that kind of interrupts me. And I know that's kind of common in survival games, but to me, it just feels like maybe it'd be more fun if I got a little more time to just waste a bunch of zombies. The other thing is, there is a gray area. This is going to come up in one of the other lessons, but sometimes you have to decide, is a certain amount of juice necessary to test the game mechanic or not? So in this case, when the zombies get shot, you're correct in that you're basically making just a simple shooting mechanism, but there's not really a lot of juice or feedback. It doesn't feel that fun to shoot the zombies, right? Because they just the little puff of smoke appears and they just disappear, right? So what you might determine is that people will say, oh, this isn't that fun. And it's not because the idea is bad. It could just be because when they shoot the zombies, it's not satisfying. So even though I'm saying don't add polish until the game mechanic is vetted, sometimes certain amounts of polish are kind of required to even test the game mechanic. So here's an example of what I mean. The background scrolling, you've already got it, so you don't have to get rid of it, but I wouldn't have suggested adding this, right? You don't need background scrolling. You don't need to add kind of ambient effects. You don't have to add fog or anything like that. Doesn't matter. But what you might want to put some effort into, you also don't even need things like drop shadows. I love drop shadows. Nobody cares, right? But what people do care about is when I shoot a zombie, does something fun happen? Like, does the zombie get sent flying backwards? Do blood particles fall out? Does the zombie shake? Does the arm fall off? And that's not necessarily just polish. That's actually part of what the core game depends on to be fun. So it might be worth a few more wishes to dress up what actually happens when the zombie gets hit. Because think about it, shooting the zombie is the core of the whole game. So it's the one thing that might be worth dressing up a little bit and then test it. And if people like that, then run with it. Otherwise, you can decide whether it's worth it or not. But what you don't need is you don't need upgrades. You don't need like round ending. You really just want to know, do people want to shoot the zombies? So that's my advice. All right, let's try high quality's cellular growth. Actually, I think I've played cellular growth before. Awesome. And be a little, please don't hesitate. Ping me or ask in the channel if you want me to repeat any of this. I know I'm barfing out a lot of just lecture talk, but I'm happy to repeat any of this for anyone else that's curious. Absorb, grow, dominate. Now, again, I think if this is an Astro Academy game, I think there's already a little unnecessarily extensive like UI going on here. I mean, this looks really cool. This effect is awesome, by the way. But you probably don't need this just to test the game, but that's okay. It's not the end of the world. Okay, so it looks like we've got one of these kind of growing games. These are always fun. I'm using the mouse to move around. Oh, and it's almost got like a kind of like a periodic table kind of like art style to it or something. Yep, this is your game, high quality. So all right. So I think for testing purposes, you've actually got more than you need. Like you don't need title screens, you don't need menus, but you've also got a good core game. So you're in good shape for testing. So I think the thing to look for when someone plays it, and I'm not going to be the best example because I'm going out of my way to demonstrate the game because other people are watching. But when you're doing a private playtest session, and by the way, this is why it's good to not have an audience. It should be kind of one-on-one, ideally, because you don't want the person playing the game to be like performing for other people. You just want to know if they personally find it fun or not, right? But what I am naturally doing is I'm kind of naturally just getting caught up in the game. I'm collecting these different little pieces of kind of matter or whatever, so I can get big enough to try to consume somebody. So it's definitely kind of grabbing me. I think that now that I think about it, I'm noticing that I don't think I'm seeing any actual moving characters that are small enough for me to consume. I think I can so far I can still only eat the inanimate stuff. So that's I think my first piece of feedback as a playtester is like I want to be able to actually consume some moving guys that are just small. But I think other than that, it's pretty good. Yeah, the minimap is cool. I don't know if the minimap is necessary for playtesting. It could be though. That could be like a gray area where if you feel that the game just doesn't even make sense without the minimap, then maybe that is required to do playtesting. That's your decision. But I think that the core mechanic of just moving around, consuming things, and avoiding the bigger guys is the thing to focus on. And so my feedback here is I feel like I've been playing for a while and I'm still not seeing anybody that I can eat. Everyone looks bigger than me. And I think maybe it's because they're consuming pieces of themselves, so we're all growing at the same rate, which would be a bit of a problem because then I'm kind of locked in at this size. I also kind of think maybe, and this is where it's really important to get multiple opinions. Personally, I might like the game to be a little bit faster. I know these games aren't all about speed, but it does feel a little sluggish to me. But if you were to say test with 3 people and you got the same feedback from 2 out of 3, that's a pretty good signal. But if I'm the only one that says that, then maybe it doesn't matter. Yeah, that's an interesting idea. Maybe you slow down as you get bigger. That could be kind of fun. All right, before I check the last game, let's see if this game has gotten anywhere good. I feel like this did not do what I wanted. The ball should be thrown at 2x the speed. All right, so while we got a little more time, I'm going to do what looks like the last game, Plankton Fun. Plankton Fun, do you want me to play test your game? What do you think? All right, let's do it. Krabby Patty Rush. I'm a sucker for SpongeBob games, although I warn you, Toxic has set the bar very high. Okay, cool. So this is more like a kind of a Diner Dash game set in the SpongeBob universe. So this guy wants top bun, cheese, and this serve. Wrong. Is it upside down? Ah, I see. Okay, this is actually kind of cool because you know what I like about this that I don't like about a lot of these other diner games is that they're very slow, whereas this one is, sorry, I was talking while I was playing. This is actually kind of fast, which I think is cool. So I can just kind of speed run through serving my customers instead of like waiting for something to cook, which feels a little bit unique to me. I like that. The main thing that I will tell you is, and maybe this is okay, but I had to kind of learn the hard way that I go from bottom to top and not from top to bottom. That may be something other people notice. It's a perfect example of the kind of thing that you will get feedback from potentially. People will either tell you like I did, or you'll just see them being confused, and you can find out if that's a common confusion or if I'm just a weirdo. This is cool though. So I think the thing to look for is, does anyone else find the order confusing? But other than that, I find the game very easy to play. So I think there's going to be a lot of good polish to make this look and feel better later on. But the whole point is, don't do that yet. Collect your feedback. Find different people to show it to. If you can show it to anybody in real life, that'd be great. And if you can do it also on Discord, that's the best of both worlds. But really, just find as many people as you can and collect all those opinions. But the core mechanic is in good shape. This is definitely the level of development that I think is right for testing. It's just enough to play, but you haven't spent weeks making it look perfect and amazing. C-Spark raises an interesting point because I was kind of thinking that the order might not matter as long as the ingredients are there. That is a choice for the game creator. I think, but this is a great example of how there's different opinions and why it's so important to test with multiple people. Because if you find that a lot of people are saying that, at a certain point, you should just kind of probably give the people what they want, you know? So this physics experiment is a complete failure. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. This is, I guess what I'm demonstrating here is that the downside of the physics stuff is that it can often take a long time to kind of get it where you want it. There's a lot of trial and error, but you know, even though and it put this stupid UI thing that I didn't ask for, but even though it's not working very well, you can see that the way things kind of fall and bounce with a lot more. Actually, oh, what am I talking? I'm missing the fact that Astra gave me all these things to play around with. Let's make the China super fragile. Turn down the shatter threshold. Turn up the fragment count. Yeah, let's just go crazy. Okay, there's something. Turn bounciness up. How about that? I still can't hit the ball. That's on me. But at least I can watch the ball break stuff. You can imagine this could potentially be fun if it were faster and if I could actually hit the ball into the China. Yeah, it does. It needs to fall from the top. I agree. It's just then it makes it a little bit more complicated to like put the stuff in the correct place. And Plankton Fun, though, I don't know if you need to add tutorial. I think that you will base the tutorial on testing. So if people all say that they have the same confusion, then you know what to add a tutorial from, but don't base it on me. Get at least a few more people's opinions first, and then figure out what the average reaction looks like, and then tailor the tutorials to what the average person thinks. Because so far you only have me. You have one opinion. So at least one or two more would be really useful to start averaging that out. Okay, so we're at time, but you guys are making good progress. We've already got 3 or 4 games that are doing the right thing. You guys are focusing on game mechanics and getting that right, which is perfect. Today was a super just off-the-cuff lecture, so we didn't have anything planned. Appreciate you guys bearing with me, but I'm getting great feedback from you guys on the actual lesson material. So you're going to have more lessons coming, and yes, write it all down, all of it, please. everything I say. I just want a transcription. So you're going to have more lessons coming in the next day or two. You should have everything by the end of day tomorrow. That's the goal. And then once those lessons are done and you guys have had a chance to go over them, all of your feedback will feed back immediately into them. And I actually might start updating the lessons as soon as next week. So we'll see what happens. But as always, this is super helpful. So appreciate it, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Alex.